The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is the 5th game in the Elder Scrolls series of games. It's an open-world action role-playing video game developed by Bethesda Game Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks on the PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and of course, the PC. This title has been remastered once and re-released in a multitude of game generations, and I wouldn't be surprised if this goes on with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. It's a 25 to 30 hour game based on a fictional fantasy setting. It's a game filled to the brim with memes, lore, and story, and it's a game where you can do almost anything limited only by the game's super old engine. It's an overrated but well-deserved glitchy masterpiece and is regarded as the game every other first-person open-world RPG is compared to. At the time, Skyrim was one of the most extremely anticipated games for its generation. Its predecessor, The Elder Scrolls IV, was received with so much praise that there was no reason to believe that the 5th one in the series could be any worse. The hype was real, everyone was ready to play the game, and everyone is just hoping for that old Bethesda game world that players and gamers are excited to be sucked into. Back then, Bethesda wasn't known for its microtransactions, broken game releases, and sketchy business antics. Instead, Bethesda was the game studio, the studio everyone looked up to, and the studio wherein many gamers' lord and savior, Todd Howard, was at its forefront. And just as expected on release, even with all of its game-breaking, hilarious, and even progress-breaking bugs, everyone still loved the game. Why? I don't know. Right now, as of 2021, the game is still pretty buggy at times. The AI is not as smart as you want them to be. Sometimes they are unresponsive. Physics of the game can be very janky, and the speed of the game is directly connected to its frame rate, meaning the faster it is, the faster you go. The graphics and textures ain't as good as you think despite the remaster that happened, and technically speaking, it really is just a great game way too incredible for its crumbling engine to handle. People think the game can be too overwhelming or is way too overrated. People are afraid to be hurt and disappointed, and that's why I think a lot of people are unsure of playing this game, or about playing this game. First of all, if you're expecting some sort of grand story alongside some amazing and incredible voice acting, it does have that to some extent. Some quests are good, some not so much. This is an open world RPG with hundreds of quests and hundreds of stories alongside those quests. Expect to be lost while playing this game. Some of these quests are long and convoluted with surprise and not so surprise endings. Yes, it doesn't cover the fact that some of these quests are extremely short, tedious, boring, and even downright a chore to do, but that's what quests are. They're not always fun, and while they could make every single quest fun and enjoyable, that's kind of impossible to do back then and even nowadays, mostly because, and get this, everyone is different. Some people like fetch quests, some people like grinding mobs for EXP. In fact, if you go into the Steam's page of Stardew Valley, one of the most overwhelmingly positive games on Steam, you will see a sufficient amount of negative reviews saying that the game is boring, tedious, and even downright bad. And for me, honestly, I don't think it's possible to create a game that can satisfy everyone's expectations 100%. The gameplay loop, to which I mean the crafting and combat in the game, can be extremely repetitive. The combat specifically can be too hack and slashy depending on what type of weapon you are willing to hold. If you're holding a melee weapon, you're gonna be pressing left click multiple times until your opponent is dead. If you're doing a mage, you'll be scouring around your spell interface, picking and choosing spells, which ultimately leads you to just pressing and holding left click until your opponent dies. Archery is honestly one of the better combat systems in the game, mostly because you have to actively predict arrow and NPC physics just so you can accurately hit skill shots, but after a while, because of the AI's inconsistent stealth system, it just gets rather boring after the 50-hour mark. So yeah, but come on, that's 50 hours worth of fun and content from the game. What's more to love? Basically, what I'm trying to say is that don't expect a perfect game. Don't expect an incredible game. A lot of people love this game, and a lot of people also manage to make careers based on this game. That it's the be-all and end-all open world game. That if you get stuck in a deserted island with only one game in hand, this is the game you'd want to have. And yeah, while it is somewhat a good choice for many people, to some, and could be for you, it's not. Speaking of which, another reason a lot of people skip the game entirely or are afraid of playing the game is something I've mentioned already twice in the video, is the game's old engine. It sucks. Actually, no, it's okay, it's not the best. In fact, some modders are actually limited by the game's engine itself. You might see bugs, glitches, graphical hiccups, immersion-breaking scenes, shadows that don't work the way you want them to work, bad textures, NPCs that get in the way of hallways, NPCs that attack you for no reason, and overall, just bad AI. Because of this, immersion just goes out the window, despite the game's focus should be about immersion. I don't think I have to tell you all the problems that the game has. I'm sure you've seen it all through YouTube, and if not, Google it. It's not difficult to find. Actually no, don't do that. It could spoil certain quests. Because of the game's notorious but hilarious memes on YouTube and other social media, people might not want to play the game. And it's okay, it's understandable, and I don't blame you for it. There's nothing really I can say about that. What you see is what you get. It doesn't always happen, the game is not infinitely glitchy and broken. All I'm saying is that it doesn't really ruin the game's experience all that much. It could, but not enough for me to say it's a bad game. It's an open world RPG where you live out as an adventurer in a fantasy world. That's it. There's no definite end goal, no levels you need to achieve, or worlds you need to conquer. The point of the game is to have fun. You decide what your goal is. Be a farmer, own a house, conquer dragons, be a vampire, join a guild, marry, backstab, be a thief, craft gear, be a blacksmith, a treasure finder, a pest remover, it's all up to you. You roleplay despite how old the game's engine is and how limited it can be. That's it. And if that's not what you're looking for, then you're not gonna find what you want in this game. Now, I've mentioned about the history of the game, what to expect in the game, and why people avoid the game entirely, and I was gonna talk about how this game is literally almost a decade old, that it literally shows graphically, audibly, and gameplay-wise. But no. The main reason for this, and why I think thousands of people, including me, still love the game, and to be honest, early Bethesda games, are the mods. This game, with the right mods, can be whatever you want it to be. It's one of the best base games ever, and I say that with experience. It can literally be anything. Want it to be a fishing game? You can. Survival? You can. Want it to take place in a desert, jungle, savanna? You can. Want it to be a horror game? You absolutely fucking can. I don't know why my voice did that. While most of the mods are on PC, more and more mods are being transferred and converted to the consoles. And it's just a great ecosystem for creators, designers, and early game makers, just wanting to show off their creations. There's even complete DLC-sized mods that exist to expand the world of Skyrim, bringing new quests, NPCs, complete with voiceovers, sound effects, and even new land masses to explore. The modding community is one of the most passionate communities I've ever seen, and nothing is as big as Skyrim. Maybe Fallout 3. Now, I know what you're thinking, is it still enjoyable without mods? Yes, complete and total yes. Again, you don't need mods to enjoy the game, you just have to set your expectations right, as I've said. In fact, every Bethesda game that I've played, I play first without mods, just to truly experience what the game is like. But if you add mods to your second playthrough, I guarantee you, depending on the mods that you download, it would almost be like playing a different game entirely. Also, I know, you might think it's complicated for beginners, but don't worry, it's not. I don't know why I'm talking this fast. There's literally hundreds of videos on YouTube on how to mod Skyrim, and it's not as difficult as you think it is. Most of it is literally folders and directory management. That's it. Copy and paste. In fact, and I'm not even kidding, there's even moments where just modding the game was fun. You would think I'm kidding, but I'm not. 1,000 hours modding, 1 hour of playing. And I still had fun. Or maybe there's something wrong with me, I don't know. Everything about the game is decent for what it is. The combat is decent, the graphics are decent, sound, voiceovers, weather systems, it's all decent. What really sets this game apart from other games within its genre is its storytelling, the quest design, and how the lore is played out. Scattered, but well placed, along with how open, free, and alive the world is. Visually, audibly, and mechanically, at this time and generation, it's mostly just above average now, but it is fixable and even overhauled for the better with mods, and that is how most people play this game. It's still a good game in its vanilla form, just don't expect too much from a decade-old game, and I hope that's enough for you to decide whether you should play it or skip it. But if not, this is for you if You're looking for a fantasy setting, open world first person RPG experience, because that's what it is. Nothing more, nothing less. If you're a fan of fantasy games in general, this game has a lot to offer in regards to lore and story. Maybe even too much. Skyrim is literally and absurdly available in almost all devices, including the PC, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. Unless you don't have any of these devices, I doubt you won't be able to play this game. If you're looking for a game to play and are worried whether or not you'll be able to, just know that this game is always available. If you're looking for a good time waster, much like the Civilization series, The Sims, or Minecraft, this is a good contender for that, as you will have a very hard time to tell time as you play the game. Like I said, the game has an existing and passionate modding community, ready to make your experience new and difficult every time you play it. Did I say difficult? Ready to make your experience new and different every time you play it. If you're looking for a game you want to do multiple playthroughs on, this is the perfect game. And lastly, obviously, if you're a fan of the Elder Scrolls series of games or are planning on checking out these types of games, the Elder Scrolls 5 is a good place to start. But this is not for you if you just can't get past all its faults. I mean, it's fine. There are people who just want a good game without worrying about these little inconveniences. That doesn't make you bad, it's just how you want your game. And that's completely fine. You don't have much time. This game will eat you, and while yes, you can discipline yourself to only playing 1 hour a day, I highly doubt you can, and I'm speaking with experience. You're looking for something linear with a definite story like Dark Souls and Witcher 3, despite how they are also technically open world. Yeah, you're not gonna get that. At the start of the game, right after the scripted tutorial, you're literally dropped in the world to do whatever you want. You can go towards the main story, go cross the river, head straight to the city. You can do whatever you want in this game without a definite goal to follow, except the one you decided to roleplay as. Again, if you're looking for some sort of Dragon Age Inquisition type experience wherein it's technically an open world, but you still have to follow a definite path to complete the game, this is not that type of game. Instead, think of it as a first-person fantasy Grand Theft Auto 5. But with dragons, and hundreds of quests and storylines. Because of how this game is laid out, you could, or rather might, get lost. Like I said, there are no definite goals here, and to have fun means to roleplay. If that's not your cup of tea, I don't know why you're even considering playing an RPG game. The first 2 letters are literally role-playing. If you are planning on buying this game, I advise that you have fun and do whatever it is you want to do. Don't go thinking, oh, I'm gonna do all these quests in this first town, then the other town, and then the next. Don't overanalyze how you're gonna play it. You could, because I also did that, but I'm telling you right now, this game is over 200 hours long. But sis, you said it was just 30 hours long to beat. Yes, for the main story. If you want to experience everything in one playthrough with all sorts of choices while playing the game, that's 200 hours long. Well, 200 hours-ish. If you want to do another playthrough with different choices, that's another 200 hours. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that you won't be able to do everything in one playthrough. There's no way. I'm pretty sure that before you hit that 100-hour mark, you will get tired of the gameplay loop, ambient music, or even the sound effects that your character does while playing. Just have fun. Do whatever it is you want the moment you feel it's right. Don't go into this game trying to complete everything. You would think it's fun reading all the books present in the game, but it's not. For some people, it might be, maybe, but for the rest of us, no. Like I said quite a few times already, the game has faults. Obvious faults. It depends on how much you can tolerate these little annoyances whether you want to play this game or not. This game is filled with politics. Not too hard to understand politics, but politics nonetheless. It can get mature with heads being cut off, characters being eaten, mind control, drowned, and all sorts of stuff. This is expected towards a fantasy game, but you really have to be at least 18 to play this game. I'm not saying you won't enjoy it if you're under 18. What I'm saying is that if you do, you won't fully experience 100% of the game the way it was meant to be played. You're mostly just robbing yourself of the overall experience. In conclusion, Skyrim is an overrated but well-deserved glitchy masterpiece. It's a game made for exploration and player choice, to have fun and do whatever you want whenever you want. And while it may not have stood against the test of time, we have a passionate modding community ready to keep it alive for at least the next few years to come, or at least until the next Elder Scrolls game comes up. But then again, the previous game, Elder Scrolls 4, is still getting mods, so, you know, there's that. The game is fit for people looking for a new world to discover, ready to get lost in, and just simply live their lives as whoever they want to be, along with interesting races, lore, and backstory. It's a long game which I doubt you can finish in one sitting, and its incredible storytelling is good enough for people looking for exactly that.